Okay, I said I wouldn't, but I did. And so there it is. Good morning, everybody. It's Stephen here for the Idiot Quilter, and welcome to my weekly vlog. This is vlog number 421 for September the 8th, 2025. And yes, we're moving towards the first day of fall in a couple of weeks. And this morning when I got up, and right now it's 8 degrees C, it feels like fall. And I'm debating, do I want to go out for my morning walk after I'm finished doing this, wearing shorts or long pants? I'm a Canadian, we'll tough it out. Anyways, sorry, a little choked up there. Okay, here's what I've been working on. Yeah, not too far. One more block done in the stormy sea. This one's one block a week. That's basically what I've been averaging because of all the other things that I've been working on. We'll talk more about this tomorrow on Idiot Quilter, and we'll also talk a little bit more about these two because this is part of the Christmas sewing than making that I have been doing lately. And I just added a couple of more projects to my list of things that I want to, that I need to do, I don't know, in preparation for like Halloween, Christmas, general everyday kinds of sewing. So anyways, these are freestanding lace ornaments, and one of them I've added a little color to, and those two snowflakes, I just realized one looks like it's bigger than the other. I must have picked the wrong, well, it doesn't really matter. These are going to be tied on to the bags. Actually, I like the larger one a little better. And that one I did in sort of a light gray. The smaller one's done in white. But anyways, I digress, as I often do. So let's come back here. And let's move right into what's... Okay, let me start this all over again. My brain is going all over the place. So let's get it focused. Focus. YouTube channel of the week is what I want to talk about. And, you know, on Stephen and Walter Live on Sunday, we talked a lot about scammers again. We've talked about them before, but we talked about how AI is really, really being used for evil purposes when it comes to scamming. Well, there's another side to AI as well. Also somewhat evil, and that is replacing human beings doing jobs. Now, I remember growing up in the 70s, late 60s and 70s, and the big talk in those days were about computer technology, and this is all before we had personal computers and the internet and everything like that, talking about how computer technology was going to take over all of our jobs, and we'd be all unemployed and on the bony knees of poverty and wouldn't be able to afford to eat or put a roof over our head, and then we die, and then what are we going to do? So, yeah. So this is sort of the 21st version, in my mind anyways, the 21st century version of that whole technology is taking over the world scare. Although, this is a little bit scarier than what it was like back in the 1970s. But I watched this 60 Minutes video. This is 60 Minutes Australia. That was answering the question, well, or playing with the question, will artificial intelligence steal your job? Here's the clip. So, of course, lately the hot topic in the tech world is AI and its applications. And I have to admit that I am one person that is excited about AI, and I'm also fearful of AI. AI, I think, is going to add a lot to our creative endeavors. I think it's going to add a lot to our knowledge base. I think AI is actually, if used the right way, will be definitely a way to enhance human life. However, there are skeptics out there, and rightly so, that see AI as causing more problems than benefits. And this particular video from 60 Minutes Australia called Will Artificial Intelligence Steal Your Job is something I think a lot of people really fear about the implementation of AI into our everyday work life. So if you are one of those people who's skeptical about it or just like to explore all the possibilities that AI can present to us, then you're going to want to watch this 60-minute Australian clip. So the link for that, if you're interested in it, and it's quite interesting, is in the show notes below. You're going to find some links for upcoming events. Yes, we are having, of course, Sewing with Stephen on Wednesdays, as we always do, and the link for that is in the show notes. All are welcome. And of course, we have another pop-up sew day. Yes, I know, it seems like we just had one, and we did. But we're having one this coming Saturday. Why? Why not? Why not? Because Walter's going off to an in-person sew day. I'll be here all by my lonesome all day long, so I need to have my friends come and sew with me, and that means all of you. So if you've never been to a pop-up sew day, make this your first one if you can. We start at 8 a.m. Eastern Time, finish around 5 p.m., but you don't have to be there the whole day. Come and go as you please, and yeah, everybody's welcome, no matter what. Some people just come and chat for a while. And that is fine, perfectly all right too. And I've said before in the past, you can work on whatever you want to work on. It doesn't matter to us. Make good use of your time in a social environment. So if you need to get to that underwear drawer and get everything alphabetized, you just go for it. That is fine. And it's also an opportunity to show us what you've been working on as well. I do the draw the line. It's showing you us your undies, if that happens to be something you're working with. But, you know, we'd love to see your quilts, your garments that you're making, craft things, whatever floats your boat. Well, show it to us and float our boat as well. So that's this coming Saturday. Links in the show notes. It is a Zoom. It is not recorded. It is not a YouTube Live. And for those of you on the mailing list, it's there. I'm sending it out to you today. In fact, by the time you see this, you've probably already got the email with the link. And let's just stop for a minute here and talk about the mailing list, okay? If you would like to be on my mailing list, all you need to do is send me an email. My email is in the show notes. There's a little section about first few lines in the show notes telling you how to find my email address. And just send me your real name, first and last name, and the email address that you would like me to use to contact you. I do not give this list to anybody else. It is strictly private. I am not a business, so I will not be inundating you with advertisements. And it's just a way that you will have the link at your fingertips for my pop-up sew days, or for the retreat, which comes up on October the 25th. More about that later this month. Yes, I guess I better get on to some of that. Month's going by very quickly. Anyways, all that stuff will be there. I do not send out like a newsletter every week like some YouTubers do. I don't send you anything. The only thing I send out through that email is just the link for the pop-up sew days when they're occurring, and you'll get 2 of them. I usually send one out at the beginning of the week before the pop-up sew day, and I send you one 2 days, usually on the Thursday before the pop-up sew day, to remind you about that. You do not need to reply to those emails at all. They're just there for your convenience for the link. That's it. So you don't need to send me an email and say, oh, I'm sorry I can't come because I've got, my grandson's having his 5th birthday and we're having a big party, or I'm going off on this trip, or I have this to do. You don't need to give me a human interest story. I won't hate you if you don't show up. It's there for you. If you want to take advantage of it, by all means. If you can't make it, you can't make it. I'm not going to cry over it. Okay? It's okay. You don't have to send back a reply to that. You also don't have to send me a reply and say, yes, you're coming. I don't reserve spots for pop-up sew days or anything like that. The only thing I reserve spots for is the retreat, and there'll be more about that later in the month, as I said. Okay, and what other links are in there? Well, lots of links. Do you realize that in the link section, I have some of my own patterns that I have designed, and they're all free for you. I think there's about 4 patterns there, and there's even a tutorial for one of the patterns, a link to the tutorial for that. So if you haven't checked that out, please do. If you're interested in those patterns, they're yours. They're free. No strings attached, or thread, or anything else. And there's links to some of my friends' YouTube channels as well. Most of them you probably know of, but maybe not. You might be new to this whole world of sewing and quilting on YouTube, and so they're excellent resources as well. And there's also links to all my past week's videos as well. Okay, so that takes me to what things are looking like outside. And as I mentioned, it's early here. It is about 6:15 in the morning, Eastern time. So the sun is just starting to peak up. The days are getting shorter, aren't they? When I was going out for my walk earlier this summer, of course, it was nice and sunny outside at by 6:45 in the morning. That's usually when I go out for the walk. Now I'm sort of walking in partial darkness and in sunrise. And if I think about it, and if it looks decent, I might take a picture of the sunrise and show it to you tomorrow. Or not tomorrow, next week on the vlog. But in the meantime, it looks like, although it's brisk out there right now, as I said, 8 degrees C, which is what? 8 and 8 is 16. It's about 46 degrees Fahrenheit, 46, 48. So yeah, it's brisk. High, though, is going to be 19, which is very, well, a little bit of fall in the air, but still comfortable. 19 and 19 is 38. That's about 68 to 70 degrees Fahrenheit. Yeah, you're wondering what I'm doing for the conversion. You want a quick conversion from Celsius to Fahrenheit? Just take the Celsius temperature, double it, and add 30 to it. And that gives you, within a couple of degrees, what the temperature is in Fahrenheit. And I still think in Fahrenheit, and I think in Celsius as well. I'm a hybrid, yeah, when it comes to temperature anyways. So yeah, and I'm looking at the forecast for today, and it looks like it's going to be sunny all day today, which is nice. Tomorrow, sunny and a high of 21. That's nice. Wednesday, partially cloudy, but high of 23. Thursday, partially cloudy, 24 high. Friday, partially cloudy, 21. Saturday, cloudy, overcast, 23. So the temperature's going up this week, which is still nice, still that bit of summer. And on Sunday, we have a 50% chance of rain and a high of 23. Okay, but week's not looking bad at all weather-wise, so that's nice. I'm not ready for fall yet. I don't know if you are, but I'm not. I know fall is a favorite time for some people. For me, no, because it means winter's coming. I like mid-spring into summer. Yeah, I used to be a winter person. I used to love winter, but that was when I was a kid and I didn't really have to do a hell of a lot with it, like shovel. Well, I don't have to do that now either. Walter does it. But, and the cold, I don't like the cold anymore. No, and I think that's something that happens to you as you get older, because we're always cold. Well, I'm not. I'm always hot, but I don't know. Okay, rambling. Let's move on, shall we? Okay, and that takes me to what's pissing me off. All right. I don't know if it's happening in your area. And I must say, there was something good that came out of COVID. When COVID was here, we did not have door-to-door people. Door-to-door salespeople trying to take our money for whatever reason. But they're back now. And in fact, in our country, or at least in our province, it was illegal to go door-to-door during COVID. But I guess the restrictions on that have been lifted, as far as I know. So we're getting all kinds of these things. And we talk about scams all the time, but we talk about the scams in the context of, the internet, primarily. Emails, text messages, that kind of stuff. But there is another kind of scam that is more personal in some ways, because it involves people coming to your door and trying to get your money in one way or another. Now, not all of these are a scam, but they have a scamming element to them. For example, services that come to your door. Communication services. In the last week, I think I've had it twice where we only have 2 telecommunication companies in Canada, basically. The two biggies. So very little competition. You're either on Bell, like we are, or you're on Rogers, which we were on many, many, many years ago, and we'll never use them again because they're a horrible company. But anyways, that's a conversation for another day. So someone came to the door, and they don't. Part of their scam is, it used to be they'd come to the door and go, "Hi, I'm from such and such, and I want to know if you're interested in buying this service," and you'd say yes or no, and it went from there. Now though, they come up as though they're your best friends. They go, "Hi, how are you today? I love your shirt." Everyone that has come to the door comment on my shirts. Now, yes, I do get a lot of comments on, when I say my shirts, when I'm wearing a Wally creation, a Walter shirt. And they are nice. And you have said so yourselves, those of you that have seen the different ones. I'm wearing Wally today. I'm always wearing a Wally. And then of course, this is one of my kitty shirts. And it's funny when people walk up to me and see, "I just noticed there's cats on your shirt." Yeah, okay, I'm digressing a bit. But anyways, they do that. They start that, "Oh, I love your shirt." Or, "Oh, I love your flowers in the front of your house." Or there's something. They get in there on a personal thing and compliment you. That's the first step. And then you notice usually they're wearing a lanyard with a laminated card on it, because, that's something now a lot of companies are doing, because, again, scammers, they're proving we're legit, we're from this company, kind of a thing. But that in itself could be a scam, because it doesn't take anybody with a lot of talent to make a fake ID card. In this day and age of AI, graphics programs online, if you've got a printer, you can make one. You can get those lanyards anywhere. You can buy them by the hundreds off of Amazon. If you've got a laminator of some sort, you can laminate them. Ask me how I know, because I have all that equipment and I can do it. I'm not saying I have, but I mean, it's easy. It really is easy. And how many times do you really look at that seriously and read it and see what's on it? So they could be scamming you that way. They may not even represent that company, or that charity or whatever. But I just say no. I just immediately, I look at them and go, "Hi, what are you selling?" I set a tone. I set a tone of aggression, that you are aggravating me. I am an angry customer, so go away. But they don't take that. Then they'll start trying to engage you in a more personal conversation. They're trying to win your confidence over, and then the axe falls. That's a scam. That is a scam. Yes, that is probably the tricks of being a good salesperson too. But it's still a form of scamming you, making you feel that they can be trusted. And then you get other ones who come in for home improvements. Yeah, we've been doing some roofs in the neighborhood for your neighbors. Peer pressure. Or the FOMO, fear of missing out. And we've noticed that you've got some parts of your roof, we could see from the road, from your driveway, that look, like this could cause you a lot of problems. We can give you a free home inspection and, tell you where it's at. Well, especially if you're a little older and you haven't had anything done to your roof in a long time, you start to panic, because they're instilling fear in you. That's another scam. Make you feel that something bad is about to happen, and they can help you with that to avoid it. So if you do let them have an inspection, they go up, they take 2 minutes. They're like, "Oh, yeah, yeah." In fact, they probably don't even have a ladder. They do it from visual. And if you ask them, "Well, don't you need a ladder?" "Oh, no, we can see it right from here. We can tell." No, a serious roof inspector is going up on the roof. Okay, they're going to check your vents. They're going to check the shape of your shingles. They're going to check your eaves troughs, all that kind of stuff. They're not going to stand there in 30 seconds and go, "Oh yeah, no, you need this, this, and this." And then it can go from there. Now they've got you worried, and then it comes up as a question, "Oh, we can fix that up for you, no problem." Make it sound like they're doing you a favor. And then they want money. They needed, all we need is just a deposit to hold your spot. We're really busy this time of the year and everything like that. So, we want to make sure you're on the list. So it's all done before the cold weather comes, at least in our area, and that kind of stuff. So then they make you the sense of urgency. They create oh, you've got to act now. And so there you are, writing them a check, giving your credit card over for 50, 60, 70% deposit, and you never hear from them again. Scammed. The best way to handle home improvements is to call up a legitimate company in your area, preferably one that you've done some research on, maybe found some people or they've been recommended by friends or neighbors, that kind of thing. Not door-to-door people. No. And never, ever give them money. Ever. If they really want your business, they don't need the money. No. Once they have some money in their hand, that's it. You have no recourse to them whatsoever. So that's a type of a scam too. And then there's the ones about improving the energy efficiency of your home. I haven't had one of these in a while, but for a few years, people would come to the door and they wanted to see your bill, your gas bill, your heating bill, your lighting bill, that kind of thing. On the pretense that they could do better, they could help you save money on the energy. And we all like to save money. And, energy is one of our big expenses as homeowners. So, yeah, you become interested just from that. Now, worst case scenarios, they want to come in and inspect your furnace or your air conditioning or whatever in your house. Do not let them in your door. Do not let them over your threshold. Really severe scammers basically casing your joint. They're looking around your house to see what you've got that may be of value, and they're part of a gang, part of a organized crime group. And next thing you know, they have burglarized your home. They've come in. They know where the valuables are. They're in. They're out. They're gone. So, yeah, don't let anybody into your house that you don't know, especially if they show up on your doorstep. Yeah, so that's a type of scam. Charities, these can be scams. Yesterday we had this discussion on Stephen and Walter Live, and several people said they don't give money to any charity that has more than 10% of what they bring in from donations that go to administration. There are some huge charitable organizations out there where 60, 70, 80% of what they bring in goes in to pay salaries and advertising and all that kind of stuff, which leaves only maybe 30, 20%, 10% of whatever's been donated. So you give them $1, 10 cents of what you've given them is actually going to the cause that you think you're helping out. So, yeah, I think the best way to handle charity is, and I never give money at the door to anything, is if I want to give money to a specific charity, I will contact directly that charity and make arrangements to make my donation. I'm not giving it at the door. And again, many of these are probably legit, but how do you know? The little card, we've already talked about that they're wearing around their neck does not prove anything. I mean, I suppose if you want, and you seriously want to give them money, is to say to them, okay, I need to call your charity first. Do you mind waiting? They probably won't. They probably won't wait. And if they're a scammer, they'll be gone very quickly. They'll, okay, well, no, we're busy today. Have a nice day. Bye-bye. And off they go running down the path, your sidewalk. And here's one you probably didn't think about. Religious organizations. Now, this is a different type of scam. It's definitely one that feeds on your emotions and also on your fear of death and what's going to happen afterwards. And the other day, two lovely older ladies, nicely dressed, came to my door. And they were all smiles, and I knew immediately who they were, and I think you probably already can guess who they were as well. And I went, "Oh, good morning, ladies. What can I do for you?" And went, "Well, hello, sir. It is a beautiful day, isn't it? So nice to be speaking with you." And I went, "And you are Jehovah Witness, aren't you?" And they went, "Yes, we are." And I went, "I'm not interested. Thank you. Have a nice day. Goodbye." Door shut. Yeah, because Jehovah Witnesses, in my opinion, are a cult. And I'm not going to get into the whole discussion about what I know about Jehovah Witnesses, but I know quite a bit about them. Yeah, thanks to the fact that I was a school teacher and I taught Jehovah Witness children. And, well, let's just say what I learned about how they treat their children, to me, borderlines on calling children's aid on them. But anyways, but you do get Mormons occasionally as well. And they're all on the, well, it's not really a pretense, because I do believe these people believe what they're talking about. They're bringing you to Jesus. They're saving you. Yes, they are. Well, to me, religion is a personal thing. I have nothing against spirituality. You do you. I do have something against organized religions, but that's another discussion for another day, which I probably have mentioned here before at some point in time. But the point I'm making about it being a scam is, once they hook you into their organization, they do want money. Because these churches, organizations, religious groups do not operate on goodwill alone. They need money, and you are the source of that money. And of course, the way they get that from you is to make you believe that you're, well, basically going to go to heaven for that, buying your way to heaven. So, yeah. So that's probably something most people don't think of as being a type of scam, but it is. So basically, what is a scam? Anything that is trying to take from you, whether it be money, time, whatever, with no return. In other words, they're using you, and usually for nefarious reasons. So that's a scam. That's a scam. So with with AI and everything that's out there now, it is very hard to trust anybody in any situation, which is a kind of a sad thing. In some ways, I wish we could return to the days of pre-computer technology. It was a simpler life. But now I sound like an old man waxing for the good old days. Okay, let's move on, shall we? And let's talk about the grow lights and everything. And okay, nothing much under here to speak about. Well, actually, this is going to be a new crop of lettuce and herbs, I think. Oh, no, I think they're actually peppers. I think Walter is, no, tomatoes. He said tomatoes. I think he's trying to propagate the tomatoes, the ones that grew in a little short bush. We thought those would be great under the lights. We have them out on the deck. So I think that's what he has planted here. Of course, then we have the jungle of lettuce and basil. That brown thing is a dead basil. Yeah, talk about your wild lettuce and basil in here. But yeah, we can cut this back and we'll eat it. The stuff that isn't brown, of course. And new crop of probably lettuce in there as well. And then under the big grow lights, we have our peppers. And we've got yellow peppers, orange peppers, green peppers, and red peppers. And they're all coming up. And this is our indoor crop that we have year round. So they're doing nicely. And out on the deck, it was raining, so I took this through the window. But you can see everything is still looking pretty good. The tomato plants have gone a little bit wild. Our peppers are doing excellent out there. We've got green ones are turning to red ones right now. We've got more cucumbers. We've got, and our melons are coming along. I don't know how big they're going to get or whether they're going to be edible or not, because we started those too late in the year. But everything's coming, and then we have our pretty little sunflower still there that just by chance popped up one day. Yeah, soon this will all be dead, and I hate that. I mean, I'm loving it right now when it's nice and green, but soon enough, this will all die off. Walter will pull it all up, and we'll start storing everything for the winter. And yeah, there'll be snow, and that'll be sad. But such is the seasons, right? Okay, so that's how the garden's doing. New products. Well, here's something I got that was exciting. And just let me see if I can find it here to show you. I should have had this up a minute ago. Just give me a sec. So, my electric or battery operated toothbrush that I've had for several years finally gave up the ghost, and I had to buy something new. So I bought this. I was actually looking for the same thing as I had before. And I thought that's what I got. I should have read things a little bit more closely because this is not battery operated. Well, it does have batteries, but they're rechargeable and it sits on a little stand as you see here and recharges. It does a few other things the old one didn't do that it's going to take me a little bit of time to get used to. But anyways, it's fine. It serves its purpose. And the only thing is I'm concerned about is when we travel, I don't want to have another thing you need to plug in for charging. So I'll just buy probably one that runs off of just straight ordinary everyday AA batteries like I had before. They tend to be a little less expensive than these, and even these are not that expensive, and use that as my travel toothbrush. But anyways, yeah, isn't that exciting that I got that? So yeah. So let's talk a little bit about the 3D printers, as I always do. I'm just looking for something here, pictures, because I do have something to show you. Okay, so what have I been doing with the 3D printers? Well, I have been working on large size things and Christmas gifts. And when I mean large size, well, there's the dragon. It's about 2 or 3 times bigger than what I could normally print. Now with the new Bamboo H2S printer, it is 50% bigger than the other ones. And I want to see what this sucker would look like. And he came out fantastic. And this picture doesn't really show you the scale, but he's pretty big. He's on an end table upstairs in our formal living room, which is becoming the dragon room because there's other dragons in there as well. But yeah, I want to see how that would work, and it worked great. Now, I mentioned that I'm making these Christmas things, and here's basically my Christmas collection, which is going to be a gift for the ladies at my local quilt store. So I have got in the back the Santa hat, one of those bottles of liquid soap from Bed Bath & Beyond, or the Body Shop. I think it's the Body Shop. Yeah, Bed Bath & Beyond I don't think exists anymore. The Body Shop, you know, those nice little pump soaps that smell nice. Well, one of those fits right into that, and so it's a little decorative thing for your bathroom. And I thought it was really cute. I've made a little, what I call the gnome tray, right next to it in purple, that has spots for whatever you want. And I think I'm going to put some little things like seam ripper, some clips and things like that in that for the ladies as well. The little bluish thing, it's hard to see it in this picture, but it looks like there's an engraved winter scene on it, and you drop a little battery lit tea light in there, and it gives a nice little warm glow. It looks really good with the light in it. The little maple leaf trays, there's 2 of them there. You can set them into each other, but these are kind of nice. They would look nice on an end table any time of the year. I made them in various colors, a set of 2, and you can put like candy in them or whatever, peanuts or something. You know, it's always nice to have if you're having company over during the holiday seasons. You know, put a few little nibblies out on them. Then, of course, there is a gnome Santa, because there has to be a gnome Santa just because. And the coasters, snowflake coasters, and I've made those in various colors along with the holder. And the little thing with all the lines on it there in the foreground, that's a notebook. and there is paper inside of it, and it's easy to refill with more paper, and it's all hinged. And I just thought it was kind of a neat idea. It'll fit into somebody's purse or backpack or whatever. It's not that big, and for jotting down those quick little notes. Although, having said that, I'm thinking, yeah, I don't jot notes down that way. I use my phone and the notes feature on my phone. So maybe that's a bit retro. And then, of course, this little keychain, which is a mug of hot chocolate with marshmallows. So these will all be wrapped up and put in those big tote bags that I'm making. And yeah, that's going to be part of Christmas gifts. What else have I been making? Well, I haven't been making... Well, I'm always making stuff, right? But this has been taking a fair amount of time. But I have had another problem with my printers. And actually, it's the filament, not the printers themselves. With bamboo, you can buy refills of filament that come without the plastic casing, without the spool. And their spools are designed that you can twist them apart, drop in a refill, twist them back together, and away you go. And they charge you less money for the refills. And I think it's a great way to avoid having to throw these plastic spools into landfill, because they are not really recyclable yet, I don't think. So that's what I've been doing. And up until about 2 days ago, I've had no problems with them. Well, my printer came up with a warning that there was a filament jam. I looked at it, and yeah, the spool had come undone, and the filament sprung out. And it literally like a spring, because filament is wound around the core of these spools when you get them, and it's very tight. And once they spring off of that, they tangle, and you pretty much, that's it. It's game over. So I tried various things to fix the problem, to see if I could rewind them on another spool and all this, and nothing worked, and the spool just got more tangled. And so basically $30 down the drain, because that's filament is unrecoverable. I wasn't happy about that. So I did some searching on the Bamboo site. Apparently this has been a common problem, because they have a wiki about it, and their wiki says what to do. Well, no, their wiki doesn't. Their wiki says if you start to detect it, what to do. Yeah, sure, if you get it in the early stages, but like me, I did not get it in the early stages. Also, a search on the internet found that a lot of people have had this problem with the rewinding, with the refills. So I did what I do best. I have put in a support ticket on the Bamboo site. I already have one there that they're still working on, and told them, I was afraid that this was a reflection on the quality of what they're making, that their quality control is going downhill, which is a real shame, because I'm a real supporter of Bamboo. You know that. I love Bamboo's printers. Many of us do. Their customer service is good and everything like that. So what's going on with these things right now? I don't know. So I'll wait and see what they tell me. I did even go as far to say I would like them to replace that filament. I don't know if they will or not, because for them, they can turn around with user error. Although I did think that that's probably what they'd come back to me with, and I proactively dealt with that in my complaint letter. But who knows? But you know something? My philosophy is the squeaky wheel gets the grease. And this company needs to know that, this is not just me. This is other people are having a similar problem. So they need to do something about that. They need to act on it if they want to continue to keep their place in the 3D printing world as one of the leaders there. So anyways, that's a bit of a mini rant. So I showed you what I printed and everything there. So that takes me to a little clip from an old S&W Live. And this is one where Walter talks about his Dutch roots.
I liked Holland. I thought it was great. Of course, you still have some relatives that live there.
Not many.
No, most of them are dead.
But they're all like cousins and stuff they don't really talk to. So, but all my aunts There's still only one aunt that's alive, as far as I know.
Yeah. But then you have, Marguerite lives in Germany.
Yeah, my cousin that she was her a year or so ago, and I about a year and a half ago, and she lives in Germany with her husband. She married a German and lives there. She lives near Kassel.
Okay, so Arabella says, so nice to hear that. Hoi ik ben Arabella. It must be Dutch. What? I can speak Dutch. Not. I used to read his mother's newspaper.
Ik ben Arabella. Okay.
Yeah. So what does that mean? My name is?
Yeah, I am Arabella. Ik ben Volta. Volta. Actually, my parents were named after my grandfather was Volta, which is Wouter, but they wanted to anglicize. My parents wanted to anglicize my name, so they changed it to Walter. So, see, my sister's name is Yitzka.
Yitzka.
So we call her Jessie. And
your mother's name was Henrika, wasn't it?
Hendrikje.
Hendrik.
Hendrikje. And
It's
she
that
went by
roll.
Annie.
It's
Yeah.
that or whatever sound.
Hendrikje.
Always sounds like you're horking up something. I don't know. Arabella says again, Hoi, Walter.
Yeah.
Is that how you say it? Hoi?
I don't know. I've
HOI?
never used that term, hoi.
Oh, well, you don't live in Holland.
Well, I don't live in Holland, and the Dutch I picked up from my parents. My parents spoke a dialect which is no longer used in Holland, and in the area that they were from called Zvolts. And when they spoke, what happened to me is they'd speak Dutch at home, and I would answer back in English. So I can understand it better than I can speak it. So.
Didn't your mother learn English by watching TV, and when your sisters came home from school, didn't they?
No, because she didn't have TV then.
Oh.
When they first came to Canada, they didn't have TV. She learned it from children's books.
Oh, okay. Well, Arabelle says, loved it all. So nice to hear you talk about Holland. Oh, she's talking about Arabella watched our videos from the Australian trip as well. Well, glad you enjoyed them, Arabella.
So events in the past week. Well, we went to a quilt show in a little town called Buckhorn. It's about an hour and a half northeast of us. And when I say little, it's little. It's a village. But the quilt show was fantastic. I was not expecting what we ended up seeing. And I did record the whole event, including the vendors. Yes, I actually bought stuff at this one. Quite a bit actually. And so I am going to show everything that I bought and the video that I made of the quilt show on this week's So Chatty. That'll come out on Friday. So if you're interested in that, be sure to catch So Chatty on Friday. But yeah, it was a really nice day. Weather was nice, and it's partially outside as well, but in pavilions. The quilt show, actually, it's where the vendors were out there, although some of the quilts were there too. It's just a really great setting for a quilt show, a country quilt show, basically. People were very, very friendly, and as I said, I did some shopping. So did Walter. So all about that on this week's So Chatty. Okay, so I think that brings me to the end of today's episode. So just a reminder, sewing with me, sewing with Stephen, Wednesday, and Pop-Up Sew Day this coming Saturday. Link is in the show notes. Okay, hope you have a great week. We'll see you later this week on some of my other videos that come out. And yeah, have a good one. Bye for now.